fashion, huh?
It's okay.
Is this a release?
You sure?
No, these are
it's
emails and stuff.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's dinosaur mail.
Dinosaur mail. It's
You're
printed.
Okay. For me, it's...
What episode is this?
problem.
25?
How do I escape past that crap?
25? We're all in agreement?
I'm already
level.
planted
Twas Brillig and the Slithy Toes.
Do we have any quiet there? Do we have that quiet mic? Get the mic right in front of your mouth, everybody.
Hello?
Rubber baby buggy bumper.
There you go.
Can you say that 5 more times quickly?
Yes.
I don't want to hear it.
Tell me when you're ready. We already slated it, but I guess we can. Okay. In 3, 2. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 25 for October 2nd, 2005. You know, I just realized because this is video, I can't signal the audience to applaud anymore. I have to do this more subtly. Can we get an applause sign or something like that? Welcome to episode 25. Patrick Norton is on the floor, ladies and gentlemen, with his back to the audience. That's how he always wanted to do the screensavers. And he finally gets to do it.
Yay.
But his hat's turned around so you can at least read
Well,
that.
there were space issues earlier, and now I'm planted here, so I'm done.
You like it? Because
that would require getting my fat ass off the ground.
There's no reason why the pocket protectors have to be on the sofa.
You know, now I'm going to have to... There's cable
No, stay
routing.
there. You're happy. We don't have to
We
move.
got 3 microphones to move. There's the whole...
Going
parent
counterclockwise around the lovely sofas. By the way, we're at the Gallery Cafe in San Francisco at the elbow where Nob Hill meets Chinatown. And so all the money rolls down the hill and goes into Chinatown.
And it's the only street in San Francisco where there's 4 one-way streets and a cable car going through.
All meeting. We're across from the historical cable car barn and museum. So how many people took a cable car here today? Oh, yeah, some people did. How very San Franciscan of you. David Prager is here, ladies and gentlemen, from Revision3.com. From PC Magazine, the one and only Robert Herron.
Hey,
star, along with Patrick Norton of Digital Life TV.
Woohoo.
You had episode 5 come out this week?
No, we had episode 8 come out this
8?
week.
Are you golly? Roger Chang from GameSpot.com. Kevin Rose from System.org, the broken dot whatever. And, of course, Dig Indignation. DIGG.com. And filling in for John C. Dvorak this week, I'm really pleased to have
the
Cory
man.
Doctorow, the man.
Myth, the legend.
Author of Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom. His new book is called...
Someone comes to town, someone leaves town.
Someone comes to town, someone leaves town. Boing Boing. He's actually posting to Boing Boing right as we
Low
speak.
even as we speak.
And then there's his day job.
And he has a day job. He's the Foreign Affairs Coordinator.
European
Affairs Coordinator for Electronic Frontier Foundation.
There are other people who have different kinds of foreign affairs at EFF.
You don't do that.
You
gave that up.
3 years?
Yeah, sleep is for the weak.
EFF.org is 15 years old.
That's right.
Today?
And today is our 15th birthday party at 454 Shotwell. You're all invited.
Go to the
5
party.
p.m. to 10 p.m. Chow, good times, stickers that say funny things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
EFF's always had some good bumper stickers.
Yeah, Fair Use has a posse. JPEG compression is lossy. No one tap dances like Fosse. The Rolling Stone is rarely mossy. No. ISDN Make It So. We have a big supply of the ISDN Make It So stickers from about 1993.
That was the early years. We were fighting for ISDN. I guess we gave up on
Free
that.
Jan Johansson.
Yeah, that's DVD John.
DVD
Do you
John?
call him DVD Jan?
DVD Jan. Well, so I went to Norway this year, and I met Jan. And it turns out Jan Johansson is probably the most common name in all of Scandinavia. So he goes by Jan Lek Johansson everywhere outside of Scandinavia.
He's the guy who
he's
broke CSS.
DVD Jan, yeah.
Is he a young guy, a nice guy?
Yeah, he's a young guy, nice guy.
What
Lives in
impressions?
France now. Incredibly funny. He's told me the story of how he cracked the iTunes DRM. He was very charming and let even a technical slowpoke like me keep up with what he was saying.
He did Playfair, which is now kind of ensconced in J-Ham
and all the rest of it. Yeah, he's a good guy. And
he's one of the good guys.
And his dad's really cool. His dad basically oversaw this whole his whole childhood was basically stolen. He's like grade 9 or so. He cracks CSS along with some pals from Germany. Next 5 years he spends defending himself in court.
Right.
The charge that they managed to get the Norwegian prosecutors to bring against him because they didn't have anti-circumvention yet on the books was invading a computer system. And he said, so what computer system is it that I'm meant to have invaded? And they said, well, your own.
You can't invade your own computer system.
Apparently you can.
But that's the point, isn't it, of, as you call it, copy restriction, is it keeps me from doing what I want to do on my system.
Yeah, I had a funny talk a couple of weeks ago with a guy from a big IT company at a DRM standards meeting where he's like, you guys, you're so hung up on property. Don't you know that this is the digital age? It's not like a property age anymore, right? So, like, yeah, you don't own your VCR anymore now that there's DRM in it. Now we kind of own it too.
Oh.
But it's just like Creative Commons, right? Everything is less propertized. And I'm like, wait a second, dude. This isn't like reducing the world's net supply of property. This is reapportionment, right? This is a tax. What you're saying is like we're going to misappropriate the property interest that you have in your laptop, in your PVR, in your computer, in your iTunes, and whatever. We're going to misappropriate that. We're going to transfer it back to entertainment industry, to CE companies, to IT companies. It's not depropertization, man. That's a land grab.
Well, it's also twisted. We own part of your VCR, but you better not take part of our intellectual property.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, don't reverse the.
Well, every
logic.
pirate who goes up the ladder wants to pull it up behind him and dog the hatch. That's just how it goes, right? Like the phonogram pirates ripped off the sheet music pirates, the radio pirates ripped off the phonogram pirates, cable ripped off broadcasters, VCRs ripped off cable, and now these companies, they're like, well, our piracy, that was legitimate, right? That was progress.
Right.
This stuff people are doing today, it's completely wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it is, though, and it's always been that way, and it's always failed. So the good news is we'll win in the end.
Well, it doesn't keep itself free, though.
Yeah, I know.
That's what EFF is.
You got to fight for it.
I'll point out we're a member organization, 15 years of EFF, and if you join, you get a tax receipt.
Look at
EFF.org.
Look at his lid of his notebook. This for the TV audience.
There you go.
Every time I see you, it's got more crap.
That's because
on
every time you see me, I've broken another laptop and stickered it.
Is this a new one?
Yeah. This is yet another new one. One got stepped on. I got another one. I went to Singapore. The only part of my hotel room where there was Wi-Fi was the bathroom. I was working on the sink. Power cable was running at the door. Rolled the chair back a little. There went another power book. I'm single-handedly paying for Steve Jobs' ivory-handled back scratchers.
Well, and he's got a good collection now. That sounds like our friend Jim Latterback, who was famous for his laptop destruction derby.
He's slowed down a bit.
Is he? He's
Yeah.
better? Yeah?
Yeah, now they usually last 3 to 6 weeks.
Well done.
I have to show Kevin Rose this. $1,000,000homepage.com.
Yeah,
You know
I saw
about that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he had a PayPal problem, I think.
Is that wild?
I think PayPal decided that they
PayPal
weren't going to
shut
let
him
him
down.
Yeah, they weren't going to, because that's you buy a pixel for so much, and he wants to get $1 million per pixel.
He's got
People buy
$249,000 in 3 weeks.
in a frozen PayPal account.
No.
can't get to it?
He changed from PayPal. Yeah, he was shut down for a while.
Now he's
Actually,
collecting
see the
e-dinars?
I don't know how he's doing it, but he's making a lot of money. My friend, look for the IP chicken one right there. That's
Oh,
my,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
my
that's
buddies. He paid $2,500 to get that little ad right there.
It's a big IP chicken.
And he said it's
Look at
worked
it.
for him though. He's gotten a ton of click-throughs, so he's happy.
It works.
Yeah, for now.
That's our old friend.
Who knew?
Used to be our IT guy
Yeah,
at Tech
Chris
TV,
Krause.
Chris Krause, who brought Kevin in.
That's right.
He invented IP chicken. So these are little tiny just so people who don't know, the guy put a 1,000,000 pixel web page up, which isn't that big. It's
10,000 by 10,000.
10,000 by 10,000. It's not that huge.
1,000 by
1,000, right? And he said, $1 a pixel. I'm going to pay for college, and in 3 weeks, $250,000 in a frozen PayPal account. That's not so bad, is it? It's been going up every time I go there. My friend Daniel showed me this last night. I had heard about it, but he said, "Have you seen it?" So is this the next big thing on the net? Forget
I mean,
Dig.
this is a 2-week thing. this is the next big thing.
This isn't going to endure.
Why does this stuff happen on the net? I mean, it's amazing.
It's because people come up with great ideas to try to make money. I mean, it's the same thing as the first people that decided to get companies to sponsor them to go to college. They got their free college, but like as soon as a billion other people try to do it, then it's not quite as
You can only
lucrative.
work once?
So yeah, that's going to work right now.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's a guy that
This isn't a Ponzi scheme. I mean, he gives you what you pay for.
I'm not saying it is a Ponzi scheme. I'm not trying to suggest he's doing
Right.
anything naughty or evil. I'm just saying the web brings life to a lot of stuff that would normally lie dead on the street.
It's because primate brains release dopamine when we encounter novel things.
And the
That's
novelty
what it
is
comes
key.
down to. Yeah.
Gotta be new.
Yeah.
If it's not new. In other words, we
2
pretty much
weeks.
run the TWiT ride. It's over right now. This is it. You know how we stay novel? We force people to resubscribe on iTunes every 6 weeks. Works great.
Golden Palace has a big ad.
Yeah,
there.
the Golden Palace. How much do you think that cost?
Oh,
Is it
if-
if IP Chicken costs
That's
what,
about
$2,500?
Yeah, it's about $5K right there.
Worth it though, right?
Well, the funny thing is that Golden Palace, they paid to have someone's head tattooed. Did you
Oh,
read-
they'd do
see
anything. They
that?
bought the Mary toasted cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
They bought. What was the other thing that was on eBay that they bought? I mean, what are they going to do with it? They don't even have a casino.
They're trying to get that last 30-second mention on newscasts all
works.
around the United States.
They have
just
an online
mention
casino, don't they? And everyone knows who they
Palace
are.
is spelled with an S. I want
Actually, I
to
think
point
they
out.
paid
Make
Kevin
sure you
to
go to the
mention it
right
on the
site.
show. But they pay
Golden
you,
Palace
Kevin.
with an S.com. Just took care of that. So much for that mention. All right, how many of you have seen Serenity?
Am I
Opening
the
night.
only person who saw it?
Patrick's the only twit who saw it. What'd you think?
It was awesome.
Good. Steve Gibson
Heartbreaking.
said it was every bit as good as the. As
I
the
laughed.
expected.
I cried. It became a part of me. It was really good, actually. It was really good. Matter of fact, I think like Lucas should just go out and fall on his sword. He should just like walk out in front of his house and go, "Wow, with $8 in a recycled television program, they just spanked how many millions of dollars." I mean, Lucas is making bank, but I just want him to take his can of gasoline, sit in the middle of the Presidio in front of all that beautiful like land he wasted to move ILM closer to where people want to live. Just light his ass on fire and apologize.
Wow.
That's just me. I feel.
Do you all
real
agree
strongly
with
about
Serenity the greatest movie ever? Better than Star Wars?
It was better than Star Wars, but that's not saying much.
So I got
That's
a
the
tip
point.
for watching Star Wars, which is you get the DVD, you turn on the Italian dialogue, and you pretend it's opera. And it actually works. I mean,
It's
George
space
Lucas
opera.
basically
That's
he writes,
awesome.
He writes dialogue with boxing gloves on, right? So long as it's in a language you don't understand, that sounds cool. It works.
Sounds like those remixes that are real hot right now. You saw the
Are you talking about mashups?
No.
Like the
These-
Phantom Edit and
These
stuff.
these new trailers that have been out.
Yeah.
There was a little competition. You could take any film, edit it up, put new soundtrack behind it, and so the first one that's it's great. The first one that emerged was as if The Shining was a love story written by Nora Ephron.
A romantic
A
comedy.
romantic comedy.
Yeah.
And then somebody's done the Titanic. Oh, the next one was a zombie movie out of West Side Story, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's a Titanic one. I can't remember what the Titanic theme is.
So the cut line for the Shining trailer is, "Meet Jack Torrance. He's a writer looking for inspiration."
It's great. They take the pictures, but it's all new. It's all new soundtrack.
So I saw the best movie this weekend. I saw the new Neil
Mirror
Gaiman movie,
Mask, you're
Mirror
gonna
Mask.
say. Yeah.
Goodness
What was
me,
that?
that was a fine piece of film. It was the coolest looking movie I've ever seen. Dave McKean did all the Sandman covers and did Wolf in the Walls and Day I Spot My Dad for Two Goldfish. Just did the most amazing job with the visuals on it. Neil Gaiman's dialogue just pops.
He's brilliant, yeah.
And the storyline was so weird and dreamlike and beautiful.
Is it
and
animated?
It's kind of animated. The Henson Creature Shop did all the animation stuff, and then there's lots of live action. The actors they sourced for it were terrific. I've never seen them in anything else before, but they were great. And like just beginning to end, a class act. It's playing at the Lumiere around the corner. And as the opening weekend, it was so good.
So it's opening worldwide, or at
This
least in
weekend.
the U.S.
It
this
opened on
weekend.
Friday, yeah.
Mirror Mask.
Mirror Mask.
Yeah. Did you see that? This made me sad. The Muppets celebrating their 50th anniversary. They're now owned by Disney.
Ow.
Oh.
Come on! When you see the Muppets doing American Express commercials, you know something's
You
going
know.
horribly, desperately wrong.
You know. So Neil Gaiman was actually, we had him on the
Yeah.
Screensavers. You know, the
I
thing
produced him.
that broke my heart is didn't he draw the Sandman or
Yep.
something on the wall
Yeah.
It's on.
behind our set?
It's in my apartment.
You have it?
Yeah.
Well
You're kidding
done.
me. You saved it?
That's awesome.
When they broke the set, I said, "I'm taking that."
Roger, thank
Awesome.
you. I thought it was lost to the ages.
No, it's lost in my closet.
Did you?
He's not
did you
giving it
save
up
anything
either.
else?
That was the only thing she drew.
It's
No.
the only thing
Oh,
he ever
no.
draws.
So
They're
if you're
like
talking
laptops
about,
and leather
if you're talking
jackets.
about,
When Linus Torvalds signed the
yeah,
back.
all that stuff was on the bigger section of wall.
That's gone.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad you saved the Gaiman.
yeah, that was easy. That was actually just like a 2x4.
That was a nice tradition. We would have guests sign the set on the back of the set, thinking that we would last forever. And then probably, I wonder if Comcast got that with the rights to everything else.
Actually, I think a lot of that set got traded in when we got the new set.
I was visiting a friend in Sonoma County, Roger, who built the set, and he has the spiral staircase. He has parts of it. I should ask him.
Does it lead anywhere?
No,
In this
still
place?
doesn't. Well, it was Dvorak's apartment, wasn't it, upstairs?
Yeah.
Well, what happened to the refrigerator? We sold it for $25,000. Of course, they didn't pay for it.
No,
on
8,000.
eBay.
I think it was like 5 or 8,000.
But then
It was
they
a charity
but then it
auction. I
sat
mean, that's
around
low.
forever.
That's low. You buy something at a charity auction and then you don't pay for
Well,
it.
what was the charity?
I don't know.
But Morgan's mouse pad went for $700.
And did that guy pay for Morgan's mouse pad?
And Mike Hilton.
So I don't know what
Sledgehammer
he.
got paid
I don't want to know what he did with
I
the
don't
mouse
even
pad
wanna
after
know.
he
You know
got his
that
$700 mouse pad.
that all started when Martin was trying to sell my badge from CES
For that
Right.
that segment on Call for Help.
What did he get for that?
$300.
Well, there you go.
I got the coolest auction thing.
What's that?
Walt Disney World security guard's jacket from Epcot Center. Isn't this badass? I'm going to do a little social engineering the next time I'm in Disney. Excuse me, do you have a license for that shirt?
He is down and out in the Magic Kingdom. Let me show. Did you get that on camera? I have to now consider the camera because we've got video now, which is probably not a good thing. Patrick, how do you feel about wearing makeup again?
There's other
Like a
entirely more
beautiful
complex
butterfly.
conflicts of interest I have with making video on TWiT.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So, do you want us to stop?
We'll worry about that after I get yelled at this week.
Just show us back.
Somebody's going to yell at you?
Somebody's going to have a strong conversation with me.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not actually.
How about
Because
we-
there's video of TWiT?
Because you're talking about going to a 3-camera shoot in a more screensavers-like format.
Oh, well, we won't do that then. We'll go to a 5-camera shoot, and it'll look more like
I Love
Serenity.
Lucy.
None
I Love Lucy. That's it. As if it
Leo!
were a Nora Ephron comedy.
I like that.
What could we do to make that person who's going to yell at you happy?
Put it in Italian.
Works for Star Wars.
Pretend it's opera.
Exactly.
Twitter.
We'll worry about that later
We'll
on.
just call you Don from now on.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble, Patrick.
Stand back. Leo's opening.
This is a gift from Dan Dorado at uneasysilence.com. He says you can't have pocket protectors without pens. So we'll go. Everybody who gets a pocket protector gets a lovely, colorful TWiT pen. Thank you, Dan. Was it with people? People send us weird stuff. Did you notice anything in the news, Kevin, that you thought was worth talking about this week?
That's a good. Google announced that they're going to be offering Wi-Fi in the Bay Area, but they also put down a speed to that as well. What did they say?
300 kbps.
300. Yeah.
What?
300, yeah, in the Bay Area in San Francisco.
You mean 300 per area, or
No, just
Kilobits.
anyone that wants access
Total
to the
speed.
Wi-Fi.
So it's
Yeah.
slow.
It's slow. It's good for web surfing and email, but
So what's the theory of that? ISDN is back. Good
ISDN
news.
is back. Make it so.
EFF1 after all that.
The big question is there a business model?
Oh, the heck yeah. Are
Well-
you kidding? They know where you are. They know what you're searching
It's
for.
just how
They
they're
could say,
gonna
oh, you
serve
wanted a
ads.
latte? Just, look at the board right where you're sitting. Of course there's a business
It's
model.
more about. I mean, they just got to
Selling ads.
come up with the most creative ad.
I mean, but
placement.
the other thing is, how many people here are logged onto a free Linksys router rather than paying the $5 to get the
Do you have to pay
access
for
to
the Wi-Fi?
coffee?
Well, if it wasn't for the Linksys community network, those wouldn't exist, man. And like the default community network are kicking their ass. Too.
Yeah,
Those guys
they're
are
everywhere.
so organized.
This is where you hack the Linksys 54 WRTC 54 with Linux
I was actually
firmware.
just kidding.
Oh,
but
you're
that's,
kidding?
That's really
No,
cool.
but they are
too.
doing that.
That's,
I mean-
yeah, that's Flickinger, X of O'Reilly's thing.
Yeah, and a lot of
yeah.
people are doing that, and it's the community nets. You log in, you get a homepage that's relevant to this micro community that you've got. And Montreal's doing it, Toronto's done it. I think that's a great project. And of course, you've got the Bay Area Wireless User Group here in San Francisco that put Wi-Fi on Sutro. So you think Google Google's becoming the evil empire? Is that what you're saying?
No.
it's weird how they're able to do all this and not
Get the
feel
flag.
like an evil empire.
You know what? They are feeling like it.
Really? You
Yes.
think so?
I think it's about to shift for Google.
I don't know.
Don't you think so? What do you think, Corey? Do you think Google still looks like the golden boy, or
I think they're doing generally good stuff. I think my big problem with Google is the same problem I have with all the companies that are doing business in China, which is that they all say, well, to do business in China, we have to sign up to like Yahoo a couple of weeks ago. We need to sign up to rat out Chinese journalists and send them to jail for 10 years. Or Google had an investor gave a talk at Web 2.0 last year about how they censor the news search results. And they said, well, we're not doing it because it's like evil or because we're kowtowing to the bad Chinese government. We're doing it because it's like a bad user experience. If you search for on the news page and you follow a link and you click on it and it says you shouldn't have clicked on that link, do it again and we'll come over and arrest you. So what we do is we take those out to improve the user experience of a Google. And it's like, you know what?
we're keeping them from being arrested?
If you're doing it because you're a publicly traded company that has a duty to your shareholders, I may or may not buy that excuse, but at least it's honest,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
To say that we're
Tell the
doing it,
truth.
it's for their own good. It makes the user experience better to be censored. I was in Singapore a couple of weeks
It's like
ago.
an Orwell novel.
And and like I did this phoner with this woman who runs the book section there, and I said, so what's it like, editing a newspaper where you're in a police state? And she said, well, it doesn't come up in the book section much. Of course, we can't review books by gay people. And I was like, wow,
that eliminates a few.
And so I said,
Do you have to ask
so
ahead
I
of
asked
time?
them about it when I got there, and I said, and she said, well, the intelligentsia run the government. They're cool with it, right? But the lumpen proletariat out in the heartland, whenever we mention gay people, they get up in arms and they demand that the government do something about them. And so really, by not ever mentioning gay people, we're doing them a favor because it would whip up all this dissent otherwise. It's this amazing kind of, up is down, black is white.
Right.
It helps people's user experience when you don't show them controversial news results,
Nobody wants to feel bad. They want to rationalize it, so they're justifying what they're doing.
Yeah.
You think because Google's a public company now, though, we're going to see more of this kind of
I don't know
behavior?
if we'll see more of it because they're a public company. I think everyone thinks that they need China, and I don't know what to do about it. I mean, I think China needs Google as much as Google needs China.
Do you have to go in and cooperate with China?
Well, so that's the
Only
question,
if you
right?
want to make
Couldn't you
money.
just be
Well,
Google
no, but
here?
hang on a second. If Google said, right, we'll just keep serving, we won't play ball, would China have the guts to block access to
Yes.
Google when
Yes.
every
Yes.
Chinese businessman would go, holy shit, you can't do this, you're going to destroy us?
Well,
They-
the problem
they
is
would.
Would it endure? I mean, look at how wired the business community is.
I think
there.
that's what you have.
Yeah,
I think you
but-
have to take that hard line and just say it's like nonviolent resistance. You just have to do the right thing
Yeah.
and keep doing the right
But
thing.
you also-
What you can't do is compromise in the way that they're.
Well, it's a
But-
little like DRM, right? As soon as you lie down with the dogs, you'll wake up with fleas. As soon as they say, you got to make a little concession here, otherwise you can't get in. Then that invites the next concession and the next concession and the next
Yeah,
concession,
that's what
right?
I'm
So
saying.
Yahoo started censoring their search results, and then Yahoo answered, weird no evidence subpoenas that resulted in revealing the identity of a dissident journalist that sent him to jail for 10 years.
By the
Yes,
way,
I think this is bad. I think
Yeah.
but there's a difference between a corporate entity. I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean, I agree.
This is getting
I agree with Patrick. I mean, you have to understand the Chinese government runs and owns most of
Fine.
those.
So don't go in China.
So,
But you know what?
But that's what we're
If-
saying. All these companies are like, if they don't go into China, then they're basically any
If
publicly
no
held.
company would go into China, no company would sign that we're going to give up on human rights.
No
what do you think would
publicly
happen?
traded company in North America can afford to not go into
Why
China
not?
because
Wait, how long? Nobody
because their
did.
shareholders are going to kick the bejesus out
Yeah,
of
we
them.
want 1 billion new
So,
customers.
so when you tell me you go into a store and you want a DVD player for $40, where do you think that?
Yeah,
how
it's
do you
made
think
in
they
China.
make? Yeah, everything's
But
made in
how
China.
can- how can
You're talking about a You're talking about a system
that
where
laptop's made in China. That
E-
laptop's
everything.
made in
I
China.
mean,
that
you
laptop's
know,
owned by a Chinese company.
It's not just directly related. It's also what's indirectly related. You have a lot of money. I mean, people don't realize the amount of public debt the U.S. has is held by China. All those
Huge
those
percentage.
bonds they have, if they wanted to, they could turn the screws down on us and basically bankrupt this country. So, I mean, everyone walks a fine line because, like Patrick says, people want to make money.
But hang on a second. Are you saying that if Google doesn't censor
No,
the
I'm
internet, that they're gonna call in U.S. national
No.
debt?
What he's saying is like what I'm saying is if Google says, hey, we're going to take the high road, we're not going to go into China unless we can have the completely free and uncensored experience we give in America, right? I think Google shareholders in Wall Street are going to go berserk because
I say-
Yahoo and everybody else is already in there.
Well, so what
Being
I'm
a
saying
publicly
is,
traded company
how
is
long
messy.
can China afford to boycott Google? And is it longer than Google can afford to boycott China? Because I think that it would be really bad for China's economy to boycott Google, right? Because Google delivers a lot of value, right? And
Yeah,
China depends on getting the internet into China. That's why they have the internet, right?
Well,
Like
you
they
have
could
a
just
whole-
cut it off.
You have a whole handful of players that are willing to step up to the plate if Google doesn't, though.
Can they deliver as much value as Google? Like if
Yeah,
Yahoo
I mean,
and Google
they want
walked
to.
away from
That's
it,
the
could
whole
they deliver
reason
as
it's
much
happening.
value?
I think.
Well, maybe you
If
need
Google's
Yahoo
getting in
too.
there because if they don't get in there, then Yahoo's going to get in there. If Yahoo,
But maybe
if
if
Yahoo
Yahoo
decides
and
to make
Google
compromises,
said no.
then Microsoft. You know,
Yeah,
And
but that's a
another-
race to the bottom,
compromises.
right? You can also structure it like a race to the top.
I agree with Corey.
Yeah, but
But
if
Corey, I
none
have
of
to
them
ask you
go
to
in,
stop
I mean,
using the S word or Time Warner AOL won't carry
beg your
this
pardon.
on our.
well, do
Can
we
you
even
edit
know
that out? Just
do we
make
even
sure
know
you
what the
bloop him
largest
when he says when he says shit? Could you edit that? Oh no, I just said shit. Oh no.
know what you're going to be doing today?
What are we gonna do?
The little beeping noise.
There's a giant big
Yeah.
square
Do
where
we
your
even know
head
what
would
the
be.
most popular search engine in China is right now?
I don't know.
Does anybody know? Is it Chinese owned? Is it internal? What
Well, if I
percentage-
were a Chinese dissident, I would want access to Google, and I wouldn't want Google to say we're going to cut off anything that's politically sensitive from our search.
I think they're
Wouldn't-
probably
Well,
less
not a Chinese dissident. If you're a Chinese businessman, though,
Anybody.
and you found out that Google was being censored, I mean, they tried it for a while, right? Long before Google caved, there was a time when they boycotted Google.
Right.
Then there was a time when they unfroze Google, and then they went back to Google and they said, "We froze you once, we can do it again. Now you've got to play ball." Well, they unfroze Google not just because they wanted to play ball with Google or they thought they could make Google dance to their will. They unfroze Google because
they had to.
People were up in arms because, you took away their Google and all of a sudden
Right.
they were freaked out. I mean, yes, it's a police state, but police states rely on kind of people being okay with living in a police state to a certain extent.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, you're also assuming a lot of the populace that they have a particular viewpoint that is similar to your own. I mean, take Burma for example. When the state runs the media, I mean, you're grown up and you're fed a certain line. So anything outside,
You buy it.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's the power of the internet to overthrow that. All right, moving on.
right.
It would be nice.
It would be nice. I'm dreaming.
Speaking of like weird like partnerships, BitTorrent gets shade under $9 million in VC to start doing file sharing service. Hopes to distribute Hollywood content. That was like the line. USA, everybody's covering this.
Dvorak sent an email to us all saying it's the beginning of the end.
For BitTorrent.
I don't know what he just said. It's the beginning of the end. I don't know if he meant
Maybe-
BitTorrent or the world. I don't know.
it's one of those cryptic messages he likes giving out. It's kind
Is it the beginning of the end?
kind of-
Let's narrow it down to BitTorrent. As soon as they take money from VC,
I mean, beginning for the end for the studios that make those.
I think it's actually. I'll say it's good, as long as BitTorrent doesn't sell out and say, okay, we're gonna DRM. But to take a little money to become, I mean, I want BitTorrent to succeed. We
exact
rely
quote,
on BitTorrent.
The piracy business is not something anyone can make money on, says Ashwin Avenue.
Not since the Supreme Court
BitTorrent
decision.
with Bram Cohen. We want to distribute paid and ad-supported content.
Don't you think it's Bram
technology.
Cohen's going after the Supreme Court decision? The first thing Bram does is say, "Oh my God, let me look at all those things I wrote." Wait a minute. Oh, here's a page that says, "I support piracy. I'm in
Well,
trouble."
that was a page he wrote supposedly as a joke, like 7 years
yeah.
ago.
Well, that was his
that somebody
rationalization.
else dug out.
So what do you think Bram does? Maybe if we can get some VC funding, we can be legitimate.
Yeah. Well, eDonkey just basically laid down and said, "We're done."
He probably thought he was screwed after the Supreme Court decision, don't you think?
Interesting thought.
Hey, I want to keep BitTorrent alive,
think
however it
it's an espresso.
happens. And we don't. The stuff we distribute over BitTorrent, and the stuff you distribute over BitTorrent, and the stuff you distribute over BitTorrent, Kevin Rose, is all legitimate legal stuff.
Yeah.
It's not
There's tons of
BitTorrent's-
legitimate users.
BitTorrent's open source, though. I mean, it's not going
Nobody
anywhere.
controls
We
it.
don't need
Yeah.
to give them money. Obviously, he has commercial intentions in mind when taking
He wants
these
to make a
funds.
little money. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Got to feed yourself.
Yeah, it depends on what he wants to do with it. I'm curious to see.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to watch.
Hey, more power to him. He got $9 million. More power to him. Top 100 products of 2005 according to PC World. I just thought I'd run them by you. See what you think. Should we go backwards? How much time do we have? I won't start at 100.
Top 5.
Tough, yeah, 5 or 10.
Top 5. Let's do 10. Number 10, the Trio 650.
No.
That belongs. No.
The PDA that no one loves.
I've got one.
Everyone
I like
owns
it.
it.
I
No
think
one
people
loves
love
it.
the
Wait,
650.
you're okay.
This is-
You're the first person I've heard who's. I know 3 people who've been carrying them for months. You're
I
the
got
only
the
one who's-
ectoplasm case.
He's got
And you
rubber
like
on
it.
his. His is in
yeah,
a
yeah,
sheath.
no. I mean, I had the P900 before. Talk about a boat anchor.
See, I like my P900.
Oh no, it was. I mean,
but I don't use it anymore.
So the thing I like about this is it's the first phone that I've gotten to successfully sync with my Mac ever.
'Cause
Like
it's
the
a Palm.
P900 just didn't sync.
Never
Like,
did.
It just never ever ever did.
and the Sidekick never really sunk very well.
no,
either.
Sunk
well, it's sunk.
You know what? I just went back to a phone. It's
Yeah,
kind
so
of
did
pathetic.
I.
You know?
I had the 650. I gave it to a friend.
Yeah, you didn't like it because it was too
It's
big.
just too bulky for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the fact that you can get your email on it, you can sync your contacts,
But
but
it's like the
the web
bar
browser
soap.
sucks.
All right, so we say it does not belong on the list.
Well, they sell 130,000 of them a month,
Depends on your needs.
Not bad.
and then now that they think they're going to sell even more of them because they're
Windows-
moving over to Windows platform,
Mobile, yeah.
which they'll probably sell a lot more because of that. And then there's going to be a lot of pissed off people that want it with the Palm OS.
Isn't it funny to see
That would be
Palm
me.
as a Microsoft?
They said they're doing
Partner.
both, though, right? For the 700? They're going to
Yeah.
do a Palm version and a Windows.
So which will win?
Oh, the Windows, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 9, Canon EOS Digital Rebel, the new XT version. I think so. Sub 1000 SLR.
High performance.
Nice. But it's much faster than the original Digital Rebel. It's
And it still takes
nice
all
lenses.
the standard Canon.
all the Canon
bayonet.
lenses. I think that belongs there. Yeah. Number 8, Skype.
Yeah.
Sure.
So here's an interesting thing about Skype and the Skype acquisition. So those guys have got like gigantic judgments outstanding against them in Australia now. The guys who founded Skype, right, as a result of the Kazaa litigation. Is that money ever going to get into their hands?
Charmin Networks, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, not Sherman Network.
See, I don't
the
understand
founders,
the relationship
right?
of Skype. it says it's a Luxembourg company. Is that just a front for
well, no,
the
no,
Charmin?
well, I don't know. No. I'm not making any kind of allegation of that sort. No, I'm just saying that it's the same founders.
They're never going to get
right.
get
And
the
if
3.5
they
billion.
can figure out a way to make the liability leap
Right.
from the company in Australia to the founders,
Right.
and then they can then say, all right, well, the founders have got billions of dollars rolling into their personal accounts
Right.
this week from eBay, from PayPal. They can then go to the courts and say, well, we have a judgment outstanding against these guys, and we'd like to at least freeze this until we can figure out where this is all going.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that kind of sneaky, underhanded stuff.
You just gave nightmares to the Charmin Networks
yeah,
guys.
poor
They're,
No, I'm sure the
They're
Charmin
great
Network-
guys.
they're just dying.
They've already been living in a nightmare for quite some time.
This one kind of surprised me. I'm not sure I would put this on the top 10 list. The number 7 is the Seagate USB 2.0 pocket drive. You've seen that. It's about the size of a matchbook.
Oh,
it's
I
a
have
hard
one of
drive,
those.
4 gig hard drive,
I have
USB.
one with the little cord.
It's cool.
Is it
cool.
flash?
How much is it?
It's
$200
a little hard
bucks.
drive.
It's orange.
4 gigs.
But you can
That's
get
the cool
40
part,
You
it's
can
orange,
almost
right?
get that in
No,
an
it's-
iPod
I have a
Nano
gray
as
one. They might make
external
it nice one.
storage
You get a
device.
Nano now, and you get the same amount.
But what's the price on
$50
that?
more.
Does it say?
200.
That's pretty pricey. I mean, for 2 gigs of flash.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on the
storage,
top 10
But
list.
it's
It
not
was
flash.
for about
It's not
150
flash.
bucks.
It's a hard drive.
little 240,
It's a little
4200
Hitachi.
RPM hard
Oh,
drive.
it's a moving
It's a
part?
40 gig?
But
or
just
4?
comparing it to, say, a 2 gig
Yeah.
key that you get for 120, 130 bucks now.
Speaking of which, rumors are flying. New iPod might be an 80 gig because Hitachi's got the 80 gig iPod.
Oh no,
It's not this little orange.
That's
drive.
Let's see. Let's see.
It's
just
a
you know,
different-
it's a
8 gig
little
LC
more
drive.
stylish.
And it's orange. It's
And that's
beautiful.
8 gigs.
It's 8 gigs.
And it's
149
149. Well, screw this one.
Well, that's the problem with these things. Every
PC
month the new
World,
one
we should
comes
tell
out
them. Yeah, that's
smaller.
old. That's
Yeah.
old. That's out of date. The one and only PC on the top 10 list is an Alienware, the Aurora 30.
I saw Alienware started making servers now.
Yeah, that
Who's buying those
I want a
servers?
gaming server. Because gaming
No,
server.
I'm talking like one use.
A one-use
on
server?
your rack.
No, I
like,
wouldn't
what
buy
network
that.
administrator is like looking at all their Alienware servers?
PC Magazine
man,
gave them
it's-
the rank as
it's
the number
The
one.
ones who just got rid
It's
of
got
all of
cool
their
lighting
Apple
in it.
servers.
Yeah, right.
Does it have like 4 inches of extra plastic around it?
But
got,
Kevin,
like,
this
a
is from
glowing-
you who like decide that you think one of the reasons that you like the Sun Microsystems servers is because it's got a cool logo on the top.
There
of
you
it.
go.
That's,
See?
well,
It's
I just
purple.
think Sun makes. I mean, yeah, that's true.
They make a pretty
you got
server.
that one bigger.
You get the glowing eyes on the front of the rack.
Now, I know, Kevin, you're
Yeah,
going to
but-
agree with the number 5 pick.
What's that?
The dull,
The doll.
the dull, ultra sharp 24-inch LCD flat panel.
The only reason I don't know if performance-wise, Robert could probably tell you better as far as LCDs.
But you
are
like
concerned,
how it
but they're
looks.
cheap as
And they're
all-
cheap.
Yeah, they're.
Do you like
cheap.
the ultra sharp, Robert?
That is a highly rated display. There's nothing wrong with it. What is
It's
it?
a good one.
1920 by 1200.
It's huge. 24 inches.
Awesome resolution.
Yeah. And
I think it
cheap.
has dual
That's
DVI
what I like about
inputs,
Dell
too.
flat screens. They're just so.
What's the
damn
price?
It's not Dell, it's dull.
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 Those Chinese.
Dare to be dull. That was the Bill McCrone motto when he started PC Magazine.
That's a nice display, though. Highly rated.
All right, that's the number 5 deserves it. Number 4, the Belkin Pre-N wireless. I agree on that.
I've heard good things. I haven't used it
Excellent.
yet.
That thing's
People
amazing.
love that.
Unbelievable.
I think any of the pre-end stuff. is
8,
good.
well, not any. No. You got to get the True MIMO stuff. There's 2 chipsets. If you get an Ergo chipset, yes. 800 feet, you get like 100 megabits. It's amazing. Of course, don't use your old B and G stuff. You got to get all new
Gear.
gear.
But it's nice.
Number 3, and this might be a surprise. It's PC World OS 10 Tiger.
Ugh.
Dead silence. You don't like it? You're using it, Mac.
I use it. I loathe it. I've never had a machine freeze up as much as I have
Really?
since I put Tiger in.
I haven't had
was
any
in
problems.
Portland
Scary
last week and
concept.
hanging out with a friend of mine who's like an Apple guy. He said next update's going to fix 18,000 bugs. Whoa, Tiger. I've never had more beach
Wow.
balls in my life.
Well,
You know, I haven't had that problem.
Really.
And I've been very fortunate, I guess.
What do you
There are
run it on
USB issues. Do you use a lot of USB devices?
No.
I use it with my Mac Mini, and I find it actually a bit slower than
Yeah.
Panther on my older G4
Mail.
500.
I mean, you know, the fact that you hit reply in mail and start typing, it doesn't buffer your keystrokes, right? It takes like 3 seconds to paint the window on the screen, and you type, yeah, that sounds cool, I'll meet you there at 3, and you're about to hit send, you're looking there, and all it says is E.
You know, that may not be mail. That may be OS 10 because I've noticed that's been happening
Well,
with
it
Mulberry.
was part of the 10.4
It's the text.
update.
It's the text because Mulberry, which I use for email, it's an IMAP client. Same thing. I can't type. So it must be the text entry routine.
Something.
Do you know if most
Something.
Mac users are just installing the updates for the OS just on top of the previous OS, or does it give you an option
I've done
for fully
both. 'cause
gutting it?
I've done
starting
both,
over?
and it's the same diff.
Really?
It is. It has a very good install because it'll move the system folder out. It's a pretty easy thing to do. Number 2, Gmail.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. We all like that.
You know what was totally missing from Gmail? Delete everything in my spam folder. So if I get
Empty
20,000
trash.
spams a day, right? So I tried looping my mail through Gmail for
you're
a while
absolutely right.
to do this, and my Gmail filled in like 60 days, and I was like, okay, time to empty out all the spam. And it was
can't
like, you can
select
do it
all and
100 at a
delete?
time, right?
Oh,
there
that's
were like
not
a
good.
million spams, and I could do it 100
That's
at
not
a
good.
time.
There's a new free mail. It's been going around, invitation only, 30 gigs.
Yeah, I heard about that.
30. It's like 30
cares?
gig. Who cares? I got an invitation. I didn't even,
I mean, will the company be around by the time you fill it?
If you look at the webpage, it's a little funky looking. It's like, yeah, we'll give 30 gigs to the first 50 people.
I just want 30 gigs of online storage for free.
Well, you could do it because you have email. You just mail yourself big
could.
files.
Break it up.
Yeah, you have to break it up.
Use WinRAR. Just bust everything up in
It's
5
like
gig
the-
chunks.
I'm going to try a
5
new.
gig chunks.
I'm going to try. Have you ever heard of gray listing? I'm going to try a new spam.
I use
spam
gray
thing.
listing.
You use gray listing?
Biggest problem with gray listing is the way gray listing works is if a mail agent contacts your server and it hasn't contacted it in the last 24 hours or 48, depending on how you configure it, it sends the SMTP "I'm very busy" message and says come back in 15 minutes. 15 minutes is kind of how long it takes the big ISPs to see that a mail has come into one of their fake email addresses, their honeypot addresses, and then block that IP address. So a spammer has to stay put long enough to be blocked, and it kind of fixes that. No, it works. That works pretty good. The thing that doesn't work is a lot of legit mail, when they see that come back in 15 minutes, puts it in a 24-hour retry queue. So, like, here's me on the phone to British Airways going, I really need you to email my ticket. And they're saying, like, we emailed you your ticket.
Yeah.
And then 24 hours later, there's my ticket, right? So adding, potentially 24 to 48 hours of latency to your thing. And it's not like I can call up BA and say, oh, well, you got a badly configured mail agent there, guys. You should really fix that. It's like if I could dictate terms to BA, I wouldn't need them to email me my ticket,
Maybe the key is whitelisting, or I'm going to try it and see. But I think you're right. The idea is great because spammers just won't retry.
Yeah.
And in theory, it should get rid of all your spam. So are you still doing it?
Yeah, I'm still doing it. It takes care of about 95% of my spam on my personal address. We don't use it on our EFF stuff. And, the false positives are probably a little below the number of false positives that I was getting when I was just trying to do Bayesian or whatever. I just get too much spam to hand sort it. It's just way too much.
Me too. Number one item on the PC World Top 100 list. You want any? Let's just get some guesses. Don't. If you're looking at it, don't.
Is it made from a company headquartered in Cupertino?
This is not 20 questions.
I was going to say the same thing.
It's software.
Oh.
That should be enough for you. Come on, Patrick.
Oh, I know what it is.
Oh, you know.
But I've read the list.
Oh, all right. That's why I didn't send this out this
Well,
week.
can I give them all a hint?
Yeah.
You're using it to browse the web right now.
You're probably all using it.
Firefox.
Firefox. How many of you are using Firefox right now?
I am.
Prager?
Yep.
Firefox. Robert's Firefox.
Me.
At home,
Corey's
I do.
Firefox.
I have
Kevin's
no laptop.
Firefox. What? You're the only
Where's
one
your
without a
laptop,
laptop.
man?
Where's your laptop, dude?
Ever since my laptop got stolen 8 years ago, I've been kind of loath to actually buy a replacement.
Take it anywhere?
8 years ago.
Yes.
I don't even.
So when the burglars got it home and opened it up and they saw the little pterodactyl, it said, "That's a living." They probably were delighted.
But Roger, you can get a notebook now for under $1,000, and back then it was
You can get one for under $100. You
Get
see
$100
You
from
see Nick
Nicholas
Negroponte's new
Negroponte.
$100?
I'll believe that. I mean, he's amazing, and they've got a lot of momentum, but I'll believe that when it actually starts showing
I
up.
love the idea. It says one laptop per child.
Yeah.
They want to have 15
yeah.
million machines within a year.
Yeah.
The real cost is under $100.
I mean,
How are they
isn't
getting
that
a
like the
screen
computer?
for under
that
They'll be
they create?
encased in rubber. So Corey will like that.
The Tonka, my first laptop.
My first laptop. Flash memory, not a hard drive. That's one of the ways they keep it cheap and reliable. 4 USB ports. Wi-Fi. That's what it tells you is how cheap all of these technologies
The problem is
have
a
become.
lot of these technologies aren't that cheap. I mean,
You don't think they can
It's
do
gonna
it?
be subsidized
I'm not saying
in
they
some
can do
fashion.
The big
anything,
cost
but
is this display, right? That's got to be the biggest
The
cost.
display and the battery are pretty expensive.
It'll have a dual mode display, so it can still be. When the last time they did this, they didn't have a display.
It was this computer, right?
Yeah,
Was it
yeah,
that- that
and you would
did
hook it
nothing?
up to like a TV or I can't.
No,
remember.
like the original, the one
was a
before this, the
projector.
computer was like a little handheld, like a PDA on steroids.
You'd project it. It had like an LEDs or something.
Yeah. I mean, if you
This
go
will
to-
have a color display or monochrome. 4 times normal resolution when you use monochrome and works in sunlight. That's the idea.
Sounds
because
like the old
these
Apple
people don't have
II
a
double
yeah,
high res mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the MIT's webpage for it, it's basically they're saying, hey, this is a research initiative to develop a $100 laptop.
So you don't think
It's a good
it's
initiative.
It's a
I think
great
it's a great
initiative.
idea.
It's a phenomenal initiative.
the SimPuter is being made. People
Yeah.
are making the SimPuter.
I mean, has anyone actually judged the success
I don't know. I mean, there's no. It's not financial success. It's how many people you get it into
who
their
actively
hands
using
and
it.
are using it, and it's making a difference in their lives, and that's hard to measure, I'm sure. Any other topics, or should we go to email?
No,
yes.
I think we should definitely talk. Like, I see Robert just keep surfing about it. The whole HD DVD Microsoft and Intel thing, and then of course Dell and HP fire back saying no, Blu-ray.
So Apple, Dell, and HP, thinking most computer manufacturers would go this way, are supporting the Blu-ray HD standard. The movie companies like HD, the computer companies like the computer,
half of them do.
Yeah, right.
Some
Disney
of them
went with Blu-ray, but Universal and some of the other ones.
A race to the bottom.
Crazy.
Like, what are they selling it to the studios on? Well, this one's more restrictive, right? Blu-ray's more restrictive.
Well,
DVD
but this is the
HD has got
interesting
even
thing.
more features that none of our customers want. No, Blu-ray's got more features than
Wasn't
one wants.
Microsoft and Intel originally in the Blu-ray camp? And supposedly
they switched because
they found out, supposedly the story is that China was actually backing the HD DVD spec, and they were basically planning that the cost per disc would actually go down.
Well, maybe it's revisionist, because what Microsoft's saying now is we support it, and I don't think Corey will have something to say about this, because it's easier to copy discs with. In other words, the thought it's still got DRM, but it's a less restrictive DRM.
Yeah, sure, but the point is that the thing that will determine what the studio is licensed to is which one's most restrictive. Right? We've never said before the DVD that just because you made a record, you should be able to design the record player. Right? That's just like never been a part of the law, right? It's never been a part of the way that businesses do business. Traditionally what's happened is like technologists have made cool toys, the entertainment industry has tried to get them banned, technologists have dragged the entertainment industry kicking and screaming by the hair to the money tree, and then we got VCRs, we got cable TV, we got radio, we got jukeboxes, we got computers, we got the internet, and so on. At every turn it's just like made more money for more artists, and here we have this bizarre thing where Intel, whose grosses are bigger than the entire Hollywood studio enterprise put together, are saying, like, is there some way we can try and be more like you little pipsqueaks whose business is a lot smaller than ours?
Why are they doing that?
I got a couple of theories. My first one is that this comes from my friend Tim Woo's, Columbia law professor. He says that industries in decline lobby best, right? If you're in a really, really competitive industry and you stop competing to send someone to Washington to suck up for privilege, while you're there, your competitors eat your lunch. But when you're down to like 4 big entertainment companies, you can all gather around and have like a gentle monopolist agreement that no one will stab anyone else in the back while we're all in DC sucking up. The other part of it, though, is that the way that the tech companies have traditionally interacted with government and regulation is by receiving military funding, and military funding is really different from traditional congressional battles, right? There's like big swaths of the military budget that work like this. Someone shows up at Congress and says, "I'm taking some money. I'm not telling you how much or what it's for, but I'll be back when I need some more." Right? And if that's the way that you interact with government, it's really easy to become kind of a nerd determinist. Our superior technology makes your inferior laws irrelevant, or like a nerd fatalist, right? Anyone who goes to Washington ends up smelling like the swamp, right? We can't get involved in lawmaking. It would prostitute us. We are too pure for that. So I think that's more or less why you have the tech companies bending over for the entertainment companies. But this all relies on like there never being 2 guys in a garage or 2 girls in a garage who start a tech company that doesn't want to play the game.
Yeah. You made your speech why all healthy ecologies have parasites from
all
E-Tech.
complex ecosystems have parasites. Yeah,
really good point. That by being so restrictive, DVD has become basically a dead end. It's not an innovative technology.
Yeah. I mean, if you bought $1,000 worth of DVDs 10 years ago, in 10 years, the features that have been added to those DVDs are like none.
Zero.
Right? Whereas with CDs, you've got like karaoke, MP3, ringtones, MP3 CD, backup, share with your friends, librarying, all that stuff.
Which should not have happened if it had been DRM.
Yeah, because like no one had a veto. If you said, okay, I want to add a new feature to every CD in the field by releasing a CD player that does one more thing. Right? No one got to say, no, you're not allowed to. We designed that record, so we should be able to design your record player. But with DVDs, because there's DRM, it's against the law to add a feature without getting permission.
Right. So Microsoft, Intel, now HD, Sony, their computer, Dell, HP, Blu-ray, Universal HD, Disney, Blu-ray. Are we screwed?
Pretty much. We're going to try to make this the most complicated user experience while y'all are getting driven to HD DVDs to the action of the federal government.
It's almost as if they drew a line straight down the middle and said, everybody, half of you that way, half of you that way.
Basically what this means is that the adoption for HD video is going to take longer. because people are gonna,
Nobody's want to take a chance.
I'm happy with my DVDs. I'm not going to spend.
Well, on the upside, it's like now Betamax machines are hard to keep running, but DVD players should live close to forever.
Now, Robert's always made the case that it's going to be cheap to make a dual format DVD player. Are we seeing them?
Samsung introduced one. Well, they have one ready to go.
It'll play both.
Yeah.
Will it be cheap?
But the problem will be the recordable media. And that was one of the big reasons that Intel and Microsoft kind of came down on
They
HD
want to be
DVD.
able to record
It's
them.
the recordable formats, and they're not seeing from the Blu-ray camp a 50 gig disc that you can record to yet. They've been claiming that storage capacity for a long time, but
HD has it?
HD can go up to 30 gigs right now, and for Blu-ray you're looking at 27. So,
well, that's important to computer
And then
makers.
HP came back and said, well, in Japan you can buy the 50 gig recorder right now. I'm looking everywhere online. I can get a set-top recorder shipped from Japan with the 27 gig storage, but the 50 gig storage is non-existent.
Is 50 dual-sided? Is dual
or
layer?
dual layer, yeah. And so far,
so they've got single layer. They just don't have dual
right.
layer.
But the HD.
And they're saying it's unlikely.
The HD number they quoted was a dual layer HD DVD disc, wasn't it?
It'll have to be, right?
ROMs will probably be available soon. I mean, for movies, but nobody can do anything with that other than play the content that's already
So we're
there.
going to be able to get DVD-ROM players, DVD players that are dual format. That'll be fine. That's not going to be an issue. It's going to really come down.
They're
to
saying initially no.
No,
you're not going to see that, and that's
you're
the whole
not
thing.
going to see
I'm
dual
wondering,
format.
We were supposed to have the HD DVD stuff in stores already in this country, and that's been pushed back till next year. And now with the new to-do with the formats going, every which way, I doubt we're going to see it by Christmas of next year at this point with the way the fighting's going on.
That'd be the best possible outcome, though, right? Like, let them go on fighting while video continues to be delivered over swarming download technologies to people with hard drives, and let them go on squabbling while the world moves on.
Well, the problem is we'd like some higher content. I mean, it would be nice to have better quality on the captures that's going down.
Yeah, I'm using a digital VHS deck to record DVD or high def at this point, or a PC-based solution.
Hey, speaking of which, so there's an initiative to put the broadcast flag back on the legislative calendar in the House. 20 Congress critters were suicidal enough to publicly support an initiative to break their constituents' televisions. I just put a list of their names on Boing Boing. You can give them a call, tell them what you think. The last time they tried this about 3 weeks ago, they got overwhelmed by so much email and calls and faxes that they just all backed off from it. Time to do it again.
TWiT Army attention. Go to boingboing.net and call your Congress critter.
Yeah, I can. Do we have time to read 20 names, or is that going to be boring? Charles Pickering from Mississippi, Adolphus Towns from New York, John Schickmas from Illinois, George Radanovich from California, Mike Ferguson from New Jersey, Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, Bart Gordon from Tennessee, Mary Bono, of course, from California.
Yeah, she is
Lee Terry from
in
Nebraska.
the pocket.
Oh, she sure is. Lee Terry from Nebraska, Ed Whitfield from Kentucky, Bobby Rush from New Jersey, Vito Fosella from New York, Joe Shadag from Arizona, Elliot Engel from New York, Albert Wynn from Maryland, Michael Doyle from Pennsylvania, Charles Gonzalez from Texas, Charles Bass from New Hampshire, John Sullivan from Oklahoma, and Frank Poloni from New Jersey. These guys, if they're your representatives, you should give them a call as soon as you can and let them know what you think of this.
And if you just want to fight the broadcast flag in general, EFF has a great activism page.
Action.eff.org. You can send a letter to Congress to tell them about it. It's just sort of a one-click
So the fact that the
action.
FCC pulled back on the broadcast flag doesn't mean it's dead.
No. So the reason it went to the FCC is because we made such a stink about it when they were trying to move it into Congress that no Congress critter wanted to touch it. They were like, this is the kiss of death, right? When it was small and unregarded, they thought, we'll just make it happen, no one will notice.
We should explain, this is the feature that would be built into anything that could take digital media that would prevent copying of that digital media.
Well, not really. What it would do is it would say anyone who wants to build a device that's capable of receiving or sitting downstream from a receiver for digital television would have to get permission from a regulator to add features to it. Right?
Oh.
And they would have to design it so that users can modify it, so no open source, no free software. It all has to be proprietary, closed, glued together, no makers, no hackers, no nothing. So we made a big stink. The lawmakers were scared off. Fritz Holling sent a letter to Chairman Powell at the FCC saying, we think that you already have the jurisdiction to do this. And so we looked at this memo that he sent, right? It was a Word file. They posted it to the FCC's website. We took it, we opened it up with strings in Unix, and it turned out that it originated on a copy of Word registered to a Motion Picture Association staffer, who apparently are the backup jurisdictional question advisors to powerful committee chairmen in the Senate. And so the FCC made the regulation. Well, they don't have the regulation, the authority to regulate what you do with a device device after you receive the show, right? That would basically put them in charge of PCs,
right?
Like, you know, the FCC just doesn't regulate what features PCs can have, and if they did, it would make them into an agency like 1,000 times larger than they are now. So we went to the Second Circuit, we went to the D.C. Circuit. The D.C. Circuit said, well, along with Public Knowledge and the American Library Association and so on, they said, you're right, no jurisdiction, no more broadcast flag. Entertainment industry, if you want a broadcast flag, you've got to go and convince a lawmaker to cut her or his own throat by breaking their constituents' televisions. And so they found 20 lawmakers dumb enough to do this.
Do you really think it's cutting their throat? I mean, we know about it, but do you think the general American populace knows or cares?
Well, they will if I have my way.
Well, we know a couple of 100,000 people who now know better, and that should be enough if each and every one of you contact your member of Congress. That'll do the job. Yes, Mr. Norton.
What time is your flight?
I should go.
All right, we're going to get rid of Corey, and we should be wrapping this up anyway. What time is it now? 4:30. Oh, you got time. You wanted to? Is it a 5:30 flight?
No.
No.
It's a
You got time.
6 p.m. flight.
All right, we'll get you a cab.
You're right on the
We'll get you a cab. Get a cab for Mr. Doctorow.
Right.
Corey, I'm really glad you could be part of this.
Guys.
Thank you so much for
Excellent.
being here. EFF.org, boingboing.net. The new book is
Someone Comes to Town, Someone Leaves Town. EFF birthday party tonight, 454 Shotwell Street in the Colorful Mission.
So everybody who's here can go to that because you just take a cab over. Thank you, Corey, for being here.
See you guys.
We really appreciate it.
See you, Corey.
Come back anytime. I know you live in London now, but please come back anytime. I'd love to have you back. And by the way, he gets no spam.
What's your email address again?
No spam I don't get.
There's no spam he doesn't. That's true for me for sure.
Sort of
I
the
get every
inverse
piece
of
of
Dvorak.
I'm at every list. I bought a watch online at a Yahoo store. That was a mistake. I now get 20 pieces of watch spam a day.
Oh man!
All of a sudden. What a coincidence. How did they know?
At this point,
Got a neat email. I just wanted. By the way, we've changed kind of how we record the audio on this, and I had hoped to have audio questions from listeners this week. I said I would, but because we changed how we do it, I'm not going to be able to do that this week. We'll figure it out. We're now using a ProSonus FirePod.
Fireweasel 4000.
Fireweasel 4000 to get into the get this. And by the way, I want to thank Alex Lindsay and the Pixel Corps because not only are they doing the video, which they're going to stop doing because 3-camera shoots are not allowed.
We'll figure this out later.
But I also want to thank them for doing the audio. And the biggest blessing for me is they're going to do the editing. So I can go home tonight.
Nice.
Usually I am at the office. Oh, my God.
Medic!
I'm usually at the office till 2 in the morning doing this. So that'll be a real relief. So thank you, Alex, for doing that. Got an email. I thought this was a great email from Lubinsky. Just got into podcasts lately, didn't know what to subscribe to. I'm a fledgling IT guru, didn't know what podcast to subscribe to. TWiT was on the top of the list, so I subscribed, and I was glad I did. He said, can you mention my site on the podcast? I'm currently activated from the Army National Guard in Wisconsin. I'm in Kuwait-Iraq border in Navistar, Kuwait. We lost 2 soldiers last week. It'd be cool for maybe to mention something. I will mention something. 3RD Dragoons or thirddragoons.org. He's got a lot of pictures from the Dragoons out there. And I mention this because I know we have a lot of listeners in the line of fire in all over the world. So we're glad you listen, and our hearts and prayers go out with you. I do have some questions for email. How long have we been going, though? I can't. Is anybody timing this? 56? Oh, we got a couple more minutes. You want to answer some questions, or you just want to talk about life and love?
Some questions.
We could actually. We have an audience mic.
Yeah.
Should we take some audience questions? Step right up to the mic and ask your question away. This is nice. We got a good crowd here in San Francisco. I think this is good, yeah.
My question is, I'm an IT supervisor, and of course, people are downloading on BitTorrent and stuff at work. So I was wondering if there's any way I can monitor this PC or Mac so I can see if they've got good movies. Maybe I can see some.
You want to capture what they're downloading. Yeah. Can she see into the BitTorrent to see what they're getting? Yeah, you can see that, can't you? Just.
Well, you'd have to take a look at. I mean, if it's being switched. Well, I mean, there's a couple different ways to do it. If you have the torrent file that they're downloading, you can use like torrent spy, drop it, and see.
All you really have
what's
to do
going
is
on there.
capture that little torrent file, which you could do with Ethereal or something, and just all you need to see is that .torrent.
If it's switched, you have to have a switch that has like a DMZ port that's feeding all the traffic through, so that you can.
But
get
you're
that.
doing that. You're seeing all the traffic go through, right?
Yeah, you can.
And I can see that they're downloading 5 or 6 things at a time.
I shouldn't tell you how to do this, but I'm going to anyway.
Yeah.
If you had Ethereal or any packet sniffer,
Yeah.
Ethereal's a good one. you're watching all the packets. What you want to do is the only packets you really care about are those small .torrent files because those tell you what they're getting.
Right.
And the information doesn't say a file name, but it does, or does it? I can't remember.
There's filters you can apply.
It sends you to a tracker.
And you can find out exactly.
And
where
it would tell you there what they're getting. In fact, all you have to do is open it in Azurius, and it would start downloading.
What, a workplace network that allows you to download BitTorrent?
That's nice. You don't block the BitTorrent ports?
No, why should I?
Yeah. So really, your only interest is you just want to share.
Right, because I mean, there's a lot of things. Like I've got everybody hooked on Dig and
that's great.
The broken system and everything like that.
So really, what you want is a system so that they don't do multiple downloads of the same file.
Right, and also if somebody's downloading a good movie like Serenity, and I can't find it.
I like this woman. Where do you work, and how can I get a job there?
Where do you work?
I work downtown in the financial district. I manage a couple of IT companies.
That's great. That's great. Well, that would be one way to find out what they're getting. I think what you really need is to run a tracker of your own.
Yeah, set up your own tracker.
A little pirate tracker inside the enterprise and let them get it from there.
Cache all the files
locally. So wrong.
Yeah, cache all files locally. Would a proxy server cache BitTorrent traffic?
Well, you can set
Why
up
not, right?
a proxy server to cache anything.
Yeah. As long as you don't have a 3-camera shoot, it's okay with Patrick.
That's refreshing.
No. I'm just having this vision of the door. It's like,
I don't want to get you in trouble.
I work with enough friends in IT to where they're using software to capture screenshots of their user desktops, the client desktops.
Oh, yeah.
In addition to, like, if they catch you so much as running anything, they're at your desk in 5 minutes and pulling the plug on your computer.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely. You're not.
It's
doing
refreshing.
That,
that's what I'm like.
Well, that's how I found out Digital Life was actually on torrent. Is by doing that.
Or they just don't even tell you and shut your port off. You're like, my interconnection.
DigitalLifeTV.com. It really is the return of the screensavers because you're actually doing. We're just sitting around gassing. You're actually showing products. I love it. I love it. It's a fabulous show. DigitalLifeTV.com.
No, I'm nice.
And Patrick's on there, and Robert's on there, and
we figured out the problem with the TriCaster.
Did you? You finally got that thing?
It's amazing. We actually had one other a guy named Oz, who's actually one of their. He's kind of our liaison between. Oz is kind of our liaison between our problems and the engineering staff, who have a interesting relationship with me. I think the engineers, the few of them that know I exist, are like, son of a.
You yell at them?
I don't yell at them. I just occasionally will relaunch like, hey, for all those of you watching the live stream, we want to apologize for that little blip. Our TriCaster ate its own tail, and but it's interesting. We're running into. They gave us some stuff to try to do it. It's amazing that people are using the TriCaster. I mean, the Air Force has a bunch and a bunch of other people, and they're mostly using them for live presentations.
I'll tell you one thing we will never do.
We're pushing the edge.
Is we're not going to do this streaming video, and we're not even switching live at this point.
Yeah.
We're capturing all the things. What we're going to do is we're going to capture them to a hard drive and use Final Cut, which has a kind of a live switching technique after
which is pretty slick.
Yeah, and much better than having to try to. And I can't afford the bandwidth. Ziff Davis can afford the bandwidth for streaming.
Well, it's interesting actually. What's been interesting to look at actually is looking at the size. I didn't realize how big the system files were until I started looking around and trying to figure out what typical downloads files size, like download sizes were for.
How big is system?
It's a couple hundred megs.
For 20 minutes?
No, you've got files as big as like 700 megs up
well,
there.
that's why I do the full
that's
full
the 1080p
res for people
version.
that want to burn it out and put it on their TV.
No, that's more like the 720. I mean, if you do a full
HD.
NTSC, not even an HD, an NTSC download, it's easy for half an hour to 40 minutes to get up around a gigabyte.
Alex has
Even
really
if
been doing
H.264.
well at encoding H.264. You play with it. You can get it small,
Yeah.
smaller anyway. And there's tricks to it, aren't there? I mean, it's.
Well, you just don't have to use as high of bit rate as you normally would
Right.
to get good quality.
But also when you're shooting it, having stable backgrounds. One of the things he does is I think very smart is a lot of screenshots because screenshots compress great, and everybody likes screenshots. What's wrong with that?
Not a thing.
Not a thing.
Unless you're trying to do a whole bunch of viewing motion. I mean, I can't.
We can't do screenshots, but we're just sitting here talking heads. If guys, I just want to ask you not to move any part of your face but your lips.
Well, what you need is those wooden clamps they used to use on 19th century photographs.
Take shots of her head and we'll clutch cargo or lips.
There you go. That'd be much easier. We figured it out. We
That's
get
just
these
so
down
creepy.
to 5-6K a minute.
It'll be like Conan O'Brien.
What we need is bigger pixels.
And then we can have any guest we want.
I like this T-shirt. It's an on-off switch. Isn't that the universal sign for on-off?
More power.
It took me a long time to figure out what that's a 1 and a 0, right? But it kind of looks like a switch. Another question from the audience?
Hi, I was just wondering what you thought about Adobe's purchase of Macromedia that's going to just crush web developers as far as choices on products that they can use.
There were choices?
So have they said whether they're going to keep Go Live or Dreamweaver? Or are they going to keep both? Or
I'm not sure if they're going to compress it into one product or.
Well, that wouldn't be so bad, would it? I mean,
there's always front page. I'm just kidding.
Boo that idea.
Just kidding.
I like the universal laughter in the background.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
Everybody
it's
knew
amazing.
that.
It's
Everybody knows
just
the front
like
page
an
sucks.
HTML client.
if you just say front page, they
Yeah,
laugh.
they know it
Isn't
sucks.
that amazing?
Yeah.
I like this
Well,
group.
you know what's funny is the best developers or web developers that I know, they all still hand code their
They need
stuff.
a notepad.
Yeah, they don't even
Yeah.
use any. I mean, they use some of
That's
the.
changing, though, don't you think? You can't
And
do
I'm-
CSS by hand.
But you still run
Yeah.
into people who are using these huge CMA, systems that are custom designed and feeding tens of thousands of. I mean, for huge companies, huge media companies, and there's still people that go in. Roger's like, You go in and you tweak a line here and you fix.
I
something
spent a lot of
there.
time writing, bracket A href equals. I mean, I admit.
You got to
I-
fix video on our site. You got to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
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 Well,
There's-
maybe you're right.
I mean, there's services like Subversion and things like that, and CVS-based systems where you check out certain files and certain.
I
users
saw a
have
great
access.
page. A guy's using Subversion, which is a CVS checkout for programmers. He's using it to run his life.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Isn't that hysterical?
That was awesome.
Man, I must have seen it on Dig then. I thought, what a great idea. What a
That's
great
cool.
idea. CVS, that's a programmer for you.
Yeah.
Other ways we can use the versioning to save our time and life. Did you get a cross tattooed on your hand, David Parker?
Oh no, that's from going to a place last night.
That's from his Vato
You
Gangster days.
you show your ID, pay your cover charge.
I didn't know churches were doing that now. That's pretty cool.
Went to the bottom of the hill.
Another question. I don't know if we answered that question. Adobe, Macromedia, bad
yeah.
idea. What are you going to do? It's your life, right?
As long as they don't make it more like Go Live. I've always been a fan
I
of
like
Dreamweaver.
Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
I do too. I am a Dreamweaver guy. When they bought HomeSite, it didn't kill HomeSite.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still.
it depends on whether they plan to close one of the product lines down or to do that really horrifying thing where they try to streamline multiple products into one unified.
Don't you? Why don't you put on these headphones? Because I think, was it you, Alex, who told me that what the plans were, that Adobe was going to keep, maybe it was Burt Monroy, Adobe was going to keep Illustrator but drop Freehand. Freehand's dead. That would make sense.
I don't know if I
Was it you?
know what the answer is, but I think that most likely Freehand's out.
Yeah.
Illustrator
But that's
is by
nobody's
far.
going to cry over that.
No one's going to. There's except for the guys using Freehand.
Both of them.
Yeah, all three of them. Yeah, exactly. The Go Live is probably the one that's probably the most threatened. I mean, Dreamweaver is kind of the standard.
The gold standard.
Yeah, so I think those are the big.
Are you a Go Live user? Is that why you're worried?
I'm more of a Macromedia or a Swish user. Swish is
Swish instead of Flash.
Yeah, Swish, because they have a lot of the features like the scripting language, and they
But
get a
Swish
lot more.
is going to be okay. I mean, Swish is not affected by this, right?
Yeah, I was just more concerned with less of a choice. I mean,
Yeah. Well, that's always bad, right?
Yeah, but I think I don't know. Most people I knew that were doing most people who were doing artistic, like just artists who just want to throw
They're
something up.
Adobe
They were
people.
using Go Live because it was connected to Photoshop. And the people who needed more technical background, who needed bigger sites, things that were more robust,
JavaScript
tended
and
to be
stuff
more
like that. Yeah.
Dreamweaver.
That's where Dreamweaver really excels in embedding objects and scripting objects and things like that. It's really good at that.
What's the deal with Photoshop Elements? You said it's coming out just for PC.
Just for
users?
PC?
Well,
no
it's
Mac?
actually PC first. Adobe's kind of going, well, we're going to put one out for Mac, but it is interesting that they're not syncing them all up. What they said is that it's important to with the Pro apps to keep them all synced. So the CS2 will continue to be synced, but with the consumer apps, they were like, it's less important, and we have more users that are PC users, and so they kind of went that way. But it's an interesting, there's this, it's an interesting thing that Adobe keeps on moving towards more and more of the PC side of things, and it's. Yeah. I think it's there's these rumors. There were rumors for years that Apple had an Intel OS. That was running.
Everybody knew it.
And there's been rumors for less years that Apple has a Photoshop killer that's floating around that they won't unleash unless the day Adobe, basically the day Adobe releases.
It's the cyanide pill.
Well, yeah, you laugh, but it's exactly what it is.
No, what it is it's the day Adobe drops Photoshop on the Mac, if that ever happens.
Right.
Apple releases basically.
I mean, is it based
really
on the
cheap.
GIMP or is it like
rumors,
the stuff? Remember
That's what I do. Is I base it on GIMP.
The rumors are it's based on GIMP.
Yeah.
Which means it would have to be
Have they talked to your buddy
Yeah.
down there at G4?
No, they haven't talked to him.
Whatever happened to the stuff that came out?
By the way, I just want to say I want to make a release that those are all rumors that I've heard, not from.
He
Apple.
does not know anything.
I don't know anything. I think I know more about what Apple's doing than what.
The big rumor is that Apple's going to slipstream some new iPods out. They snuck some Mac Mini upgrades out. Didn't tell anybody. They upgraded the Mini this week. That was kind of wild. You know what they're doing? They're keeping the flame going because they're afraid people are going to stop buying Macs, waiting for Intel. So they're going to kind of slightly do everything sneaky it out, right?
Yeah, and I think the Intel's. I mean, the thing I'm most excited about is being able to run everything on one box.
I want a PowerBook with a Pentium M. That's what I want. That's going to be great.
I agree.
That's going to be the thing. And then, you could dual boot, or better yet, seamless Windows with a Windows window and a Mac window.
It's interesting because I don't think Apple obviously it's great for them because it's a hardware, they're a hardware company, and for Microsoft in a lot of ways it's great for them too because they can sell more operating systems. They're not so in many ways.
Everybody's happy
because they have virtual PCs, so they'll be able to build something that's really, really fast. The only people that are going to be upset are more like Dell and Gateway have.
It's going to be interesting to see what it actually finally ships in June.
I want to issue an invitation right now for Steve Jobs and Bill Gates when they do that big hug. They can do it on TWiT. Okay? Just want to epic. Guys, just remember who your friends are. No, that's the wrong way to approach it. Any other stories anybody wants to cover? We got to wrap this thing up. I want to thank Alex Lindsay and the Pixel Corps for providing audio. I really let go of it this time. I'm not even wearing headphones. That's how much I've let go of TWiT.
Hopefully that'll be a good thing.
We'll see. If the sound quality sucks, ladies and gentlemen, you know who to blame. And it ain't me. And remember, you got to edit out those 4-letter words in the middle. Okay, good. Very important. Because we thank AOL Radio for providing the bandwidth for this, and one of the conditions of AOL Radio, and I think it's a fine one, is that there be no ads and no profanity. There were no ads during this broadcast, were there?
AOL.
AOL Radio.
I heard
that's the only ad. AOLmusic.com. Thank them for the bandwidth. Thanks to Dorothy Yamamoto for the TWiT logo. I'm getting more and more stuff with TWiTs on it. Hats, T-shirts. The folks at Think Geek, I'm pretty sure, are going to come through. Now, is that going to get you in trouble, Patrick, if they have?
Only with Jinx.
Okay. Well, you got a Jinx relationship. Is Jinx going to get mad at us?
We both have a Jinx
relationship. They're just buddies of ours. It doesn't.
All right. They're not going to get mad.
Yeah, they can care less.
Because Jinx wasn't going to do action figures.
You want the Leo Laporte action figure?
I don't care about Leo. I want to have Patrick and Kevin and go. No, that's my hope.
Sorry, I remember the mental image of an action figure, and it just keeps going sideways on me. I can't.
If they make the John C. Dvorak one, I'll buy that.
How many of you would buy a John C. Dvorak? I get no spam action figure
with the pull string in the back.
With the pull string in the back.
Yes, of course.
I get no spam.
Of course you would. I would
Check
buy
out my
it.
blog at deepdangle.
Yeah, right. You pull the string, it says Dvorak.org/blog. I think that's a good product. John would sign off on that one.
They use buttons now.
Anyway, unfortunately, Jen Fraser, who's our Think Geek liaison, is on vacation. But as soon as I think she's burnt out, frankly. But as soon as she gets back from vacation, which has been 6 weeks, we'll make that move.
How many people work at Think Geek now?
I don't know.
So they feel like everybody did everything depending on what the most crushing emergency was.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool organization. I think it's a good one for us to partner with, don't you?
And they have wonderful T-shirts.
And not just T-shirts though. See, I want
blankets.
I want the whole thing. I want bedspreads. I want action figures. You
want a Leo Laporte
boxer shorts
edition wardrobe?
No, I already got Leo Laporte boxer shorts. I don't need any more of those. They don't sell well, by the way.
Seersucker suit?
They do not sell well. Maybe it's because
as well as the Will Wheaton thongs.
No, yeah.
That's a very bad image in my head right now. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that. Thanks to Mark Blasco at podcastthemes.com for our opening theme, Ashley TWiT for our closing theme. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody? Mom. Dig.com.
DIGG.
Roger Chang wants everybody to go to the Fisherman's Galley in Modesto, California.
Yay. Like seafood, it's a great place to go.
Finally, I got something to plug for Roger.
That's awesome.
His folks own it.
Awesome.
Yeah. If you're ever in Modesto, can we do the show from there?
Sure.
Is there a lot of room?
There's a bar.
There's a bar.
Hey, what
all
else
right.
do we do?
Would you all go to Modesto to see this? You're the only. I know you would, Mike and Gene. They live near Modesto. They come all the way from. Where do you come from again? From Folsom.
Ow.
Can you believe that? Not the prison though. No. Alex Lindsay of the Pixel Corps, thank you for being here. Cory Doctorow, of course, who's already on his way to the airport, to Robert Heron. We'll see you on Digital Life TV, yes?
Definitely.
Going to review some big screens?
I have a ton. This is the time of the year where they're all coming out.
Yeah.
It's raining.
look
Do they do that because
Like
of football
Christmas.
season? They're like, now's the time to.
It's
Sure.
just that end of the year, from
It's
like
because-
October to the end of
Christmas.
November.
So they
A
can
lot
do
of
that
Super
weird
Bowl.
credit plan.
yeah,
Don't
but
pay anything till next year.
You know what it is, too? They're also hyping for CES in
Yeah.
January '06.
This is it. This is the time.
They're going to show the new stuff.
But most
that's going to
retailers do
eclipse
like
everything that's coming out right
50%
now.
of their
So.
business in the last 3 months of the year.
Right.
Let's do TWiT from CES.
Okay, deal.
Let's do it.
January,
Vegas.
second week in January? That's a
January
great idea.
5th, I think it starts.
That's a great idea.
Let's
I
do that.
will. I'll make the calls this week. We will do it from CES. Are you all going to CES?
I'm there for like
Potentially.
5 days.
I'm there for a long time.
I guess you're going, David.
Yeah.
I can.
We're going. We
The
got
boss
stuff
says
to
you're
shoot.
going.
Oh, that's not my
You're
boss.
going. I still. I booked a CD motel last year, and I think I can get those reservations
Nice.
again.
Actually, the Best Western where we're staying is like right around the corner. It has free Wi-Fi.
That's why I booked the CD motel. It's like walking
Dude, that's got the
distance to
scariest casino you've ever seen.
Best
It
Western?
looks like somebody's living room that hasn't been touched since like the mid '60s.
Where's this?
And it's
It
just-
makes the terrible
the
Herb
Best
seem
Western.
upscale.
It's just like
You know, I think we've got to do is
You just
bring
run
Martin
from it, but
Sargent.
the hotel's
and-
close.
And as part of TWiT, we could do Marty's Las Vegas tour.
But we'd have to host it. It's lots of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lots of
Steve loves
fun.
Lots of fun.
is that the place with the $1 Guinness beers?
That's the place
Hey,
with the, like,
you know, that's a great
penny
idea.
slots.
TWiT from Slots of Fun. That's a great idea. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. We'll see you next week at an undisclosed location. Another TWiT is in the can.
And the show notes are out.
I promise next time we will have seats for every one of you. I apologize.